Through the Gates is produced under the support of the Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management to enhance, promote, and defend the North American model of wildlife conservation and responsible wildlife management. That's our mission. We're engaged in fighting at every level so that wildlife management remains science-based and conservation continues to work for our wildlife. To learn more and join the movement, visit SaveTheHuntColorado.com. The North American model of wildlife conservation is the greatest conservation model in the world. It's a success story that should be shared and celebrated because everybody is a part of it. So we're excited. We've got another edition of Through the Gates to Save the Hunt. And we've been trying to go around the state on different levels, and we've had to do some of the meetings, podcasting the meetings we've been doing, but we wanted to turn around and try to take a little bit of time, bring some different flavor to the conversation. And I'm privileged today to be joined by Jessica Whitaker. Jessica is a young sportswoman here in Colorado. And I think you guys are going to really enjoy the conversation because she's kind of inspired me, but she actually inspires a lot of other people out there as well. And while she was participatory in the 127 campaign last year, I think this is the type of story that you guys are interested in seeing and hearing because it comes from a completely different perspective. And it also has a different nuance to it in the sense to where somebody of this age and this demographic is engaged in consumptive use, science-based wildlife management. So proud to have her here today, but I'm going to say, Jessica, appreciate you taking the time and coming over and making a little bit of a drive. Introduce yourself, give us a little bit of background, and then we're going to get into the weeds of what I've become to know of you over the course of the last 10 or 12 months.
Well, it's an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Jessica Whitaker. I am 27 years old. I am first and foremost a Christian. I am a property manager for a commercial development company. I am a fiance to a very wonderful man.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I am newer into the hunting world. I would say average hunter. And I think it's a little bit more of a step up from average fisher woman now. Getting a little bit better, getting my bootstraps up every season. And that's a little bit about me. And as I told you, I'm just a girl, so.
We think you're more than a girl, and you've been an intricate part of the conversation, along with a variety of other young ladies that have decided to engage in this conversation. That shows that it's not a bunch of old, grizzled, gray-haired white guys that are out there doing things, and there's an opportunity to express a pretty good message that you come from a different background and you look at things from a different perspective. And I'm hoping that people will take this with a grain of salt, but also take it to think that maybe there's hope out there from the conservation and wildlife management side. So you're a resident of Colorado now.
No, I am one of the many transfers that came, actually, I hate saying this, but from California.
You came from California to live in, you're living outside of Colorado Springs?
Yes, correct. Right outside of Colorado Springs in the Glen Eagle area. Absolutely love where I live. Hopefully we'll one day be able to live in the Larkspur area. But yeah, overall, I don't plan on getting super far from Colorado Springs. I absolutely love my job. Don't plan on ever moving to the middle of nowhere. My fiance's sad about that. But yeah, I enjoy what I do on my day-to-day basis and really enjoy Colorado Springs.
So you were running from the law, or whatever brought you into the middle part of the country when it comes to Colorado?
I knew from a very early age that California is not where I wanted to be. It's not where I wanted to raise a family. It's not anything I really enjoyed. I grew up really in the city, Sacramento, California to be exact, and not semi-unconventional childhood. I was never in the outdoors. Did not ever. Like the most I was in the outdoors was in my backyard. I knew there was something wrong with me at an early age where I didn't fit into the city life, where I was catching frogs and putting them in my mom's bed and catching bugs and bringing them home in my pockets and stuff like that. But I was always the oddball out in the city area. Well, what I thought was going to be the oddball. There's plenty of other feral children like me as well. And it was a really just city basic childhood. I mean, there was nothing else. We went into the suburban area and I was really excited when I turned 18 because I was like, peace out to my family. I love you guys, but I just don't see a life for me here. Moved to Georgia. For about a year, I realized that was not my cup of tea.
You didn't like
I didn't like the humidity, the bugs. I mean, it was insane that cockroaches were the size of a dog over there, and nobody cared. Everyone was like, "Yeah, that's normal."
We named them.
Yes, the food was delicious. I do miss that, but yeah, then came back to be a little bit closer to home and moved into Colorado Springs. Fell in love with it. Fell in love with the mountains. My gypsy roots were very short-lived, and yeah, and ended up making a lot of really great connections here in the Springs. Found a fantastic job really early on. I'm super blessed where I work, and then I'm also super blessed to the community of women that I've really helped uh, build for myself. It has been great. Became a Christian here, the whole nine. So don't ever plan on leaving.
So when you were in California,
Mhm.
you didn't hunt.
No. Well, I mean, yes and no. So I did not grow up hunting in any way, shape, or form. And then at 17 years old, 16, 17, I ended up transferring high schools. And I still don't even know why, other than I believe everything happens for a reason. I do believe God had a hand in that. And I just had a calling. I was a cheerleader at the time. I really wanted to get a scholarship for cheer, and went to a better high school that also had a 4-H program. That agriculture industry also bred in with a lot of kids that hunted and also were fishing and all these things that I just didn't know anything about. And I couldn't get into 4-H. It was too late. I also didn't know. I was like, I don't know about it, any of that. That's a little scary.
You know about
No,
cows and
I don't know
pigs and
about
chickens
that.
and
Yeah.
mooses.
And so that was really foreign to me. But it was really cool, like, to hear some of the things about people that were hunting, and it was just a deer. That was the only thing I even knew about hunting was a deer. And I think I've made at that time, at 17 years old, I was maybe saw 4 deer in my life. It was just an anomaly that never happened. And I said, "Dad, I grew up around firearms, so I was like, can we go hunting?" And he goes, "Why in the heck would you want to do that?" And at that time,
Hunting what?
yes, and he was like, "Why would you want to do that?" And I said, "I don't know. Some kids at my school were talking about it. It seemed kind of interesting. Um, we shot some," but he was like, "Well," he used it as an excuse to more so teach me on the firearm safety, and I was like, "Fantastic." So, got more into firearms at that time, and he said which I know this is not probably great to say, but he said if you took he didn't like paperwork. If I was able to take his, California hunter ed, and I took mine, and I could tell him all the stuff in it, then we could go hunting. And few months later, I got my license in the state of California. I earned my dad's as well, and uh, we went out, and probably looking back, I mean, we packed boxes of ammo. I mean, boxes. Like, it was
Like
crazy.
you're going to war or
Yeah,
what?
we were going to war. We were the loudest people ever in the forest. I mean, if we were near anybody, I'm sure people like would have posted about us and like cussed us out. We were scaring away every little bit of wildlife. We didn't see a squirrel that trip. I it rained, it was lightning. My dad was miserable. My dad was like, he was like, "We're going back to the truck." We got in the truck, and I was like, "That was the best day ever. That was so cool."
You were wet.
Yeah, I was wet. My dad took my socks, like the whole nine. So like, it was just I really enjoyed it. I felt like I had
You
a
found your spot?
connection. Yeah, like I found something that I really enjoyed, and even though that wasn't what my dad enjoyed, he did go with me to a few more of those outings, and I think saw 2 squirrels. Like that was it. But and
So did you even know what you were hunting at the time?
oh yeah, we were hunting a deer,
Oh.
and but we knew nothing about anything with wildlife, and I think it's crazy looking back, because back then I was like, how hard could it be? And oh my gosh, I mean, yeah, there are people that probably stumble around in the forest and end up getting lucky every couple years or whatever, but for the most part, it's a difficult thing to get into.
So what did you
Yeah.
what drove you to get into that at that point? Was it primarily just the school and
Yeah.
the peers that you were dealing with?
That was the primary reason. Was I just felt like just try it out. Now, when I didn't hunt when I lived in Georgia, really. There wasn't really anything over there that I hunted. And then when I got to Colorado, I had a lot of transition periods in my life. I just had moved and sold my house, all this stuff. And I met some girls and when I got into Colorado that were moving cattle and all this just random things that I had no idea anything about.
And you hadn't done any horseback riding or anything.
Oh, nothing at all. So, and so I actually was invited up to Montana with some girlfriends that I love them dearly. They were like, "Do you want to help to move some bison?" And that was in 2022, February 2022. And I was like, "Sure, let's try it out." And I mean, I think that they honestly invited me as well. They told me that I was the gate bitch, and that I was pure entertainment for them up there. So they said they get
Well, I've
bored.
done the gates with you, so I have
Yes,
it's still the same. It's just that you need practice with it.
I need a lot of practice at the gym. But yeah, when I went up to Montana, I kept going back. I didn't have a whole lot of money, and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I'm like, still in that early 20s. I had a college degree. I thought everything was going to be fine, and I thought that once I got that dream job, that it was all going to line up. And I was like, why am I just enjoying just going and moving bison with my girlfriends?
And that was on horseback?
Yeah.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, and so they threw me on a horse.
They threw me on a horse.
Yeah, it was a good time. But then
So you learned to ride and move bison at the same time.
I wasn't good at it. I wouldn't count me as anything other than a body for then during that time. Now I've learned a lot more, but yeah, it was a really great time. And that was back in February 2022. In November of 2022, those same girlfriends said, "Hey, do you want to come up to Montana and go bow hunting?" I said, "How hard could it be?" It was so embarrassing because I like by the time that
Did you have a bow?
I bought a bow, I think a month before.
Oh,
It was not good.
you took it out of the box.
Yeah, I took
Yeah.
it out of the box. I practiced in my yard every single day. I was not ready. I ended up just basically saying, "Hey, I'm not ready, guys. You guys can get a deer, and I will tag along and take a
Learn.
picture and learn." Yeah. And they didn't harvest anything that time, but I had such a great time, and I was like, wow, it reactivated something in me that I felt with my dad. Back when I was 17, I was like, that was a really great memory with him, and I loved being with him during that time, but it was the activity of like actually getting outside, disconnecting, that I just loved. And then the conservation piece, I didn't get to really fall in love with until later that I think the next year when was actually, or actually it was January of 2024, I killed my first goose. And that was just a surreal experience. I'm a crier, so it was like a nice time. I was very thankful for the food. I ate it, and that was like the full circle moment for me of like, wow, this is something really special that not a lot of people get to experience or really get comfortable with either. I didn't grow up in that, so it was a really great
And
experience.
since then,
Mhm.
you've done quite a bit of things.
Oh yeah.
I think was it in November or whatever in 23, you went deer elk hunting.
Yes. Yep.
Uh,
Elk hunting. Yeah.
Yeah, with some other gals.
Yes.
Unsuccessful.
Unsuccessful. We saw a whole herd of elk, and I was very thankful again for the experience. But one of the girls that ended up yelling, "No, don't shoot," when I had my first elk in my sights only at like 30, 40 yards away, and I was still, nervous, and she was like, "I don't think we could have packed it out. We're no longer friends." So it was a tragic, but it lit a fire in me where I was like, you know what? I can also do this alone, and I'm gonna figure it out because I have been dedicated. And that one I trained for. The whole reason I was in the gym was
So you go elk.
so I could go elk hunting, and I was like, I can do this, and I was very confident. I knew the area. And now it was a whole different ball game. Ever since that time, I was like, I can do this on my own.
But you didn't harvest anything that year.
Nope.
And so it was January of 24, you got your first goose.
Yep.
And then you were hooked.
I was hooked.
So,
Yep.
so what got you into where you're at today? Give us a chronological order because it builds up to a variety of other things and how we got together.
Absolutely.
So from January of 24, bring us up until fall of 25.
Fall of 25. Well, actually, go back to fall of 24. I had heard that there was something going on with lion hunting. And I was like, gosh, I hope I'm not going to be good enough to do it on my own anytime soon. I don't have money to pay an outfitter. And I started calling like a crazy person, all the outfitters that I could get my hands on their number to go, hey, I'm just interested in learning. And I didn't realize, I guess, the politics side of his back then. And, you know, I was just like a very eager young hunter, and I was solely like just on my own at this time. There was nobody there to really guide me or tell me what was appropriate. So I was calling these outfitters. I was like, hi, I don't care about harvesting one as much as I do about learning. And I just want to learn from you.
I'm sure that brought skepticism.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. It's like who the hell are you? And you
Yes.
don't call me again.
And during again, it was coming up on the ballot, and I mean, that's how I heard about it. But that's how I understood about lion hunting. But I was like, I just want to know what it's about. I didn't understand hunting with hounds at that time. I didn't understand the why people would say it wasn't fair chase, and I still had some skepticism about that myself during that time. So I got one bite, and it was a very nice lion hunter out of Walsenburg named Roman, and he took me out. He knew I was flat broke. He was like, I don't expect any money. I don't expect
Wet
anything
behind
from
the
you.
ears, green as you could get.
Green as you can, yep. And I was like, I just want to experience it. I didn't even see a lion that time. He explained everything about his dogs. He explained everything about what they do. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize how much went into it. I didn't understand the year-round training that these dogs go through. I didn't understand any of it. The GPS collars and how it's important. And it's not like to just go find your dog when it's treed. It's to literally find your dog if it's lost. Like those kind of things are so important in how these dogs like literally are everything to these guys. And it struck a chord in me of like, wow, I'm a dog person. I love it. That's so fantastic. Maybe that's something I want to do in the future. And then 127 came out the following year. I had another, I would say, semi-successful season of hunting, but I was really on my own, and I felt good about what I did, and I became more of a successful bird hunter during
Because
that time.
you went elk hunting last year,
Yes.
in 2024,
Yes. Yeah.
unsuccessfally.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for
So-
reminding me, Dan.
So the grocery store is looking better and
Yeah.
better, but
Yeah,
yeah.
but I'm seeing animals, and that's a huge win for me, and that's all I was really expecting. And that's the other little part of this, that a lot of people that get into hunting, especially later in life, they see social media. If you're not born into this, it's hard. If you're not paying someone thousands of dollars, it's hard. And if you're not, it's hard when you also see the influencers on there and going, oh, look, I can tag out everything in a few days. Well, if they live that, of
Right.
course they're going to be able to. But a lot of us can't live that. I mean, I'm not.
Well, you got a job.
Yeah, I got a job. I got a regular job, and I love my job. So
And you being able to hunt multiple states with multiple species or multiple methods of take
Mhm.
is not out of the question.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's difficult to do it,
And learn.
and I think that the internet has given people this false perception,
Absolutely.
whether it's on our side of the fence or the opposition,
Mhm.
false sense of perception that you buy a tag and you go out there and you just do it.
Oh, no.
Or by somebody's recollection, you don't even have to buy a tag. You just get
Yeah.
out there and do it.
Which is crazy.
You found out just over this 8 or 9 year period
Yeah.
of getting started
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
that you'd starve to death at this point in time if you were.
Absolutely. And not only that, I was like, the amount of rules and just constantly, I'm like, I have to read that book. And most ethical hunters read that book page to page and go, wow, there's just so much to learn.
It's 80 pages on the big game book, and that doesn't include
small
that includes small game,
turkey,
yeah, all that
like
stuff.
nothing. So it's a lot of stuff to really learn. And like I said, if you don't know it, you just don't know it until you're in it, and then you have to be fairly in it.
But you found out too, just the preparation of getting ready for the next season,
Yeah.
and like you say, you spend hours and hours of trying to find an
Mhm.
outfitter to take you.
Mhm.
the friendships that have been built up since your engagement here in Colorado,
absolutely.
and then with your interest on the political side,
Mhm.
why did you show such interest on the political side, even after you went lion hunting with Roman unsuccessfully? What sparked you to be able to turn around and pursue further engagement?
Oh, I just figured, there's probably a lot of people out there that were like me that just were either ignorant or just really, don't have the resources to even find out what lion hunting was about. And so after that time with Roman, I went, oh my gosh, this is going to be taken away and nobody even knows what it's even about. And it ignited something in me to go, you know, I can just I can either sit by and go, well, it's not affecting me, or I can, on the flip side, do as much as I at least can. And even if I have 4 people's minds that I change, then it it makes the world to me that I didn't stand by idle during the upcoming election. So that was
Well,
what my thought
that brings up a
was.
good point because I mean, Sean and I go around and try to talk to people and get their perceptions, but and not by throwing anybody out with the
Mhm.
bathwater. But here you are, been in the States since when? You moved here in
2020.
2020.
Mhm.
And in 22, you became a little bit more interested in this,
Yep,
even though you had a minimal amount of background.
absolutely.
You've done more on trying to preserve the opportunity for science-based wildlife management and consumptive hunting um, than a lot of the people that we know that have been doing this for 25 or 30 years. You've done it in 3, and it's specifically in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
And it's not to throw anybody out, but the reason I wanted to have you on is because there's a tremendous amount of individuals, young individuals, that have not come traditionally from this background,
Mhm.
that have started to pay attention and get involved for a variety of different reasons. You are an inspiration to me and others that we actually deal with because you actually, instead of sitting on the sidelines and saying, I don't know about this and it doesn't affect me, or if they take it away, it's no big deal. Something sparked an interest in you to do it before it became a big issue and then still get involved afterwards and then build up these relationships with all these other individuals that you might have crossed paths with.
Mhm.
But you're an assertive individual anyway, or you wouldn't have turned around and started calling people, cold calling them, like trying to sell them a vacuum cleaner or something.
Exactly.
So,
Well, I've lived in California. I've seen what, like, the other side is like, and people can say all they want that Colorado's just as bad and all this stuff, but it's not. We just have an idle base right now that doesn't wanna get involved until it's almost too late. But there's so many good people, just across the state that I meet all the time that are living in cities or that are living in the suburban area that just need to feel something of like, okay, we don't want to lose this either.
mhm.
And California is like where I came from. To not see more than 5 deer in my entire childhood. I mean, I don't think anybody wants that, but
You
that's,
saw more elk down here at the corner
oh my gosh,
than
yeah,
you
for
saw deer in your
sure.
entire childhood.
Exactly, exactly. So that is just something that I just want. Maybe that's why I'm so passionate about it, is because I've seen the flip side. And if you don't live in California, you don't know how bad it even was back in, I moved out at 2017, 2016, and you just don't know how bad it truly is until you're really in it, and I don't want my kids growing up in that. I want to fight for Colorado. I want to fight for hunting and fishing out here, but just in general, it's shocking to me that we have all these wonderful people that are so educated here on conservation, science-based wildlife management, and that doesn't excite people to get out and get more involved. I'm always shocked when you're like, "You've done so much." I'm like, "I just do basic stuff." Like, getting yard signs out and talking to people is makes a huge impact, and I didn't realize how big of that was until we met, so.
Yeah, and I want to thank you for that, but at the same time, thank you for your foresightfulness and enthusiasm to say, "Hey, this is something that I can actually engage in." And I refer a bunch of the young women, but a bunch of the gals that have reached out in this
Mhm.
process. Some are single, some are moms of 2, some are outfitters, some are barrel racers, some are professional business people.
Mhm.
There's a variety of backgrounds that would come out,
Absolutely.
but they came out because they saw something that was on the cusp of being taken away,
Mhm.
that whether they engaged or not, they wanted the opportunity to pursue it,
Absolutely.
pursue the opportunity.
Yes.
But realizing that, well, if it's mountain lions, could it be pheasants? If it's pheasants, could it be deer or elk, or could it be bighorn
Absolutely.
sheep or anything else?
Yeah.
And as you saw just a couple weeks ago at the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission, there was a live bait fishing ban that came up as a
Yes.
citizen petition. Uh, Explain to me the circle of friends that you had prior to your getting involved with this particular effort, and then how our relationship kind of spewed from that. But the circle of friends you had,
Yeah.
were they big time hunters, or
Oh,
kinda,
no.
they were just kind of hunters?
No, they weren't even kind of hunters. They were like me. They came from Michigan and they're working, one of my best friends literally works as a DoD contractor, and she uh, grew up hunting in Michigan, and with her dad, similar backstory. And she's like, I want to go, but I just don't have anybody. And I'm like, well, come with me. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, right?
We can aimlessly wander in the woods.
Aimlessly wander. I was like, as long as I got good at a pistol, just in case anything happened. But that was like my main focus. I was like, all right, everything else, as long as I don't get eaten, we're good to go. So, yeah, there's there's a lot of women out there that just are, that I was now friends with. Now they're great hunters, or getting to be really great hunters, but that really didn't know what they were doing either. And there's definitely an untapped market of women that just want to go outside and experience it, but maybe don't have the confidence. But yeah, most of my friends were girls that were also curious in hunting and or fishing, and we just went on a backpacking trip with one of them that just was like, oh, I just want to go. But they're just all good people. They're just regular people that just live in the
And
cities.
success is not necessarily just in the harvest.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
I mean, if it was, you'd have been
I would've been
SOL
gone,
about
yeah.
8 years ago, 9 years ago.
Big failure.
Yeah. So some of the gals that you've become friends with,
Mhm.
they see the same or similar drive and passion
Yeah.
for the same type of things.
Absolutely.
But you see your guys' pictures together, and you see your social posts together, and you see your interactions of being able to turn around and go out and spend some time in the field together.
Yes.
Tell me, why don't you think other people outside of your circle are is interested, or do you think that there might be a little bit of a spark there that they just don't pursue because
Oh,
of the
absolutely.
hurdles and because of maybe the conflicts of what perceptions are from other people?
Absolutely. I think that, like I said earlier with social media, a lot of people have a deterrence on that. I also believe that, like you said, it's not about the harvest. Like, yes, that's the ultimate goal to a certain extent, but like getting out there and experiencing the whole cycle of what hunting and fishing really is, the nature, like getting connected to your roots. It brings out almost a primal instinct in you as well. But then also seeing where your food comes from. That's all things that not only men want, but women want as well. And there's almost like for myself, maybe I'm just a little crazy where I just was like, I can do anything. I've always felt that about myself. So any women that are like, oh, I'm hesitant to go out, I will take anybody out with me. I can't guarantee that we'll see anything. I'm
Bring your
not.
own lunch.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But I will, but that is something that I think a lot of women do have hurdles with, especially if they're not, you know, their husbands are not hunters or fishers or anything along those lines. Like my fiance, he was not a huge hunter until me. And that's super abnormal for people. But
That the wife brings, or the fiance or the girlfriend
yes.
brings that into the relationship.
Exactly, yeah, and that I think it should be more normalized that there are people out there that just didn't grow up around it, and who cares if you're learning it in your adult life? It's better for me to learn it in my adult life to be able to teach my kids and get all the kinks out now, my hypothetical kids down the line, but instead of
Sean doesn't have a hypothetical anymore. You've got thetical.
yes, hypothetical.
Well,
But, to get all those kinks out instead of, strapping a baby to my chest and going mountain lion hunting and not knowing what I'm doing in a few years, I'd rather get all the kinks out now and have my fiance come with me and all that. But if he's busy, I mean, he's a sheriff's deputy. He is on a horrible schedule. I can't wait for him to just be off work. We have one day together.
You wouldn't get anything done.
But we wouldn't get anything done. We'd have like a half a day to hunt, and that's it. So, I mean, I'm sure there's other women that just don't have anybody to go with as well. Maybe lack the confidence. I mean, I get it. Things are trying to kill you out there. You're part of the circle of life when you go out. So maybe that's it. But continuing to open up, I think, opportunities. There's plenty of women's groups out there that are fantastic. One that's been a huge influence is Hunting Divas for me. They're fantastic women that just teach you a lot of stuff, and it's not big game hunting, but they're teaching you, if you want to learn how to fish and actually like prepare it to take home and cook, they'll teach you all of that. And that's just things that I didn't grow
I want to
up.
back up real quick before I get lost in it.
Oh, yeah.
So my mind goes about 1,000 miles an hour. It's like a rat in a cage. But you mentioned, well, there's things out there that might want to eat you.
Mhm.
But understand, and most people don't understand the optics of this. If you're going out hunting, they still imagine a lot of the time that you're at home, getting in the truck, going out hunting, getting in the truck, and going back home.
Oh, no.
What you're talking about, some of that happens.
Yeah.
Depending on, especially on day hunts or
Absolutely.
pheasant hunts or whatever.
Mhm.
But a lot of what you do is actually going in the field
Mhm.
and living in the field.
Correct.
And so then you're out, you are the predator.
Yes.
And what you're pursuing is the prey.
Mhm.
But it's not as easy as what some people would perceive, that you set your camp up, you do your stuff, you do your scouting, you got to cook your meals, you have to be prepared.
Oh, yeah.
Then you turn around and go out, and maybe that's a base camp, or maybe it's a spike
Mhm.
camp, and you're going out from there. How daunting was that for somebody like you?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Okay, last year you took a friend of yours.
Yes.
But you were like
I was the more knowledgeable one, which is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. It's like Gilligan taking
Yeah,
somebody out. It's-
exactly. No, it was shocking at how easy I could die. Just in general.
not just from critters.
Not just critters.
Yeah.
I mean, the elements. I mean, it snowed. I mean, we were out there, and it's still super crazy because we both had the time of our lives.
I was trying to watch over you like
Yeah.
a guardian angel.
Thank you.
I had the game warden check on your vehicles. So
Yes, no, it was fantastic because we are no longer wandering aimlessly. We have a game plan. It may not be a good game plan, but it's a game plan, and we're going out there. We're packing everything in. We have our little meals out there.
freeze dried.
We have freeze-dried meals, and the jet boil is the best thing.
So you wanted that on your wedding list.
Yeah,
You wanted another.
I want another one. I want the big one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just, I mean, it's crazy because I'm a type B person, so I'm like, I live out in my truck half the time, and I'm like, gosh, I gotta go through this list again because otherwise I will literally die. So it's just a different mentality that you have to have going out there to be prepared and to deal with the elements, to deal with, potential other predators.
So you backpacked in this last
Correct, yeah.
last year.
Yes,
So you're like 110 pounds or less, dripping wet.
correct.
So what can you carry on your back?
Actually, there was another girl out there with her husband who ended up harvesting an elk, and we saw it, and I said, well, we saw that she harvested the elk, and so we were like, okay, we're on the right track, but we're pretty far back at this point. We have still not field dressed a big game animal. So I was like, let's go learn and offer to help pack out. And we did that, and it was a wonderful time. We really enjoyed it. The couple was super nice, and we were able to pack out, and I was able to carry a quarter out by myself. Yeah, and it was not.
It wasn't a small elk.
No, it's definitely not a small elk. So yeah, I felt more confident, but that was I was training for like 6 months of muscle growth because I was like, gosh, I don't want to die back there. Because you see people that go unprepared, and it's sad. And yeah,
They don't have a good experience at that rate either.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just kind of like preparing to go on vacation, or if you're going to prepare on a 100-mile run, or if you're going to turn around and be on the ninja games or whatever it is.
Absolutely.
There's a training, but some of that's mental. It's not just physical.
Yes.
And what I've known, and I've guided hunters for years, and I've been an outdoorsman for the last 50 years. The ideology behind people's mentalities, they don't prepare for what is likely to be the inevitable enough
Correct.
They prepare for what they envision. But
Mhm.
when you're in situations like that, there's a lot of
Oh.
things that you don't envision.
Absolutely. And John Alice, who you've actually, which we'll get to that part of the story here soon on how I met him, but he had actually given me the best piece of advice. He goes, "You should always have 3 ways to start a fire in your pack." And I was like, 3 ways?
I got
I
one.
got one. And he's like, "Well, you'll never die next to a fire." And I was like, "But everything else you can kind of work through, especially when lion hunting or anything along those lines." I was like, "Okay, sounds good." So now I always come with 3 ways, and I'm super glad I did that because there was one time that I did get stuck in the cold a little bit, and I needed a fire because I was freezing my booty off. And yeah, the 2 first ways did not hold up because of the wet and the cold, and I was very thankful that
You had
Karen
the
told me
third one.
that. Yeah, yes, exactly.
And so when you helped pack that elk out,
Mhm.
did you feel what did you feel?
It was exciting to see this, younger girl as well with her husband. Uh, they prayed over the elk. It was a very kumbaya moment for all of us, and just how excited she was. And um,
You're excited.
I was excited.
You smile. What are you
Yes.
talking about?
It was a really surreal moment, and just being able to watch, the true quartering out process was really interesting. I didn't realize how much meat you can really get from an elk until you're there and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I can get this piece off. I can get this piece." I didn't even realize where tenderloins were on an animal until around that time. So yeah, it was a really just exciting process, and it was also exciting that I could get to that next level of, like, being able to pack out a whole quarter at 110 pounds up a mountain. Like, that was cool. So it was another fuel, and even though it kind of took up a lot of my day of elk
Yeah,
hunting.
but it was endless knowledge and memories that you
Exactly.
get out of it,
Yeah.
because otherwise I could
That's
imagine,
what do you go for?
well,
So
if you harvest something and you stand
yeah.
above it and you go, "Now what?"
Yes, and I
Yes.
was like, "I just hope that YouTube works out there," because I just was YouTubing everything, and I was like, "I really hope that I don't mess this up if my phone doesn't work," and, it's really difficult to get into all, like, and correctly do it, step by
Now let me
step.
jump fast
Yeah.
forward, and you and I have obviously conversed on multiple levels
Yes.
over time, and I guess we've known each other about 10, 11 months.
Mhm.
I consider you to be a good friend.
Yes, I agree.
You showed me pictures
Mhm.
last weekend of a buck that you
Yes.
roadkill buck
Yep.
that one of your friends had.
Absolutely.
We'll show those pictures on here, but there you are on the side of the road in the
Yeah.
middle of the dark,
Mhm.
middle of the night, processing this buck that
Correct.
your buddy hit.
Yes,
Give us a little bit of story, and,
absolutely.
and then tell about the difference of what you learned
Yes,
versus
what I could
what, because
apply.
your buddy didn't know what to do with it.
No, he didn't. I love him dearly. Great guy. He's a horse trainer out of the Larkspur area. He called me and said, "You'll never guess what happened." And I said, "I have no idea. I don't know why you're calling me." He goes, "I just hit a buck in Castle Rock." And I was like, "No way." And he goes, "Yeah, the police are on the way." And I said, "You better ask if you can call CPW to get that meat, because if something's dying, you don't want it to go to waste." And he goes, "I didn't even think of that." And so then they got CPW out, they cleared him to get the meat, and he goes, "Please get over here. I don't know what I'm doing." I got there, and it's weird to see the transition of, like,
Where it was, or
where
you're at
yeah, where it was and then where, yeah.
now you're the field butcher.
Yes, and, so I went out there, got to the side of the road. It was actually comical. I don't know how dull his knife was, but it was like it was just like him poking it, and it was a really horrible job, and I was like, "Okay." And, peeling the skin back, and I just decided to quarter out because that's what I know how to do, and I got the back straps and the tenderloins, and we got the head off for CPW to take, um, and I was able to help direct and get as much meat as possible off of a not great incident, but not having it go to waste. And then we processed it, and now I have meat in the freezer before the season, which is great.
And how many pounds of meat did you get off of that?
Oh, that's a good question too.
Yeah, you're the only.
No idea.
You picked it up yet?
No,
No.
no,
So
not yet.
so so you'll have, and you got a variety of different cuts and different
Mhm.
things of it.
Yep.
Any sausages and all the other stuff?
Yep,
Yeah, you got it.
all of it. All yeah, I wanted to try it all. So steaks and my own summer sausages, and did the ground
So that's
all that.
that's the first meat that you've actually taken to a processor.
Absolutely.
That was a roadkill that your buddy.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so if anybody turns around and calls you a ruthless killer,
Oh my gosh. I wouldn't use those words by any means. I am not even, I'm barely a killer in general. I just like harvesting. I also think this is a weird part that I actually don't know if you know about me, but I didn't eat anything but chicken up until 3 years ago. And hunting was the biggest reason why I have now gone into eating steaks, eating, game meat, all of this because it's that circle. And I was like, if I harvest something, I have to try it and I have to eat it. Like, that's just it. I will feel bad if I don't. So that was my first experience, was the goose. And I was like, oh, this isn't bad. I like this. This is new. And I had to continue to do that, but I didn't grow up even eating steak. Like,
you weren't a beef eater.
I wasn't a beef eater at all. So it was.
It's an interesting story, isn't it, Sean? I mean, it's the perspective of this, and that's why I was so excited to be able to get her on, because there's other people, men and women, that are similar. Well, sometimes don't pursue the avocation. Sometimes they don't even think about if it's not in their grasp.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if which we saw during COVID, if there's a shortage on meat, if there's a shortage on anything, that was another reason why I was like kind of interested in learning more about the agriculture and then hunting side, was like, would I be able to survive? And at that time, absolutely not. This time's a corn flip. But
So, I like you.
yeah.
Joey can, but I can't.
Yes. So I'm like, it's been a fun experience because I've gained so much confidence. I feel like I have gained a deeper appreciation for my food. I have gained a deeper appreciation for wildlife in just a short 3 years in my life, and just a wide eye-opening experience of different little things that have just transpired that might sound so insignificant to people who have grown up in this lifestyle or anything along this time, but it's really cool, and I love that other people are starting to get into it more and more, making like agriculture and hunting and fishing more accessible to the general population that might not.
And it's a different time than what it was in the 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the perception is quite different. The circle that you run with, outside of the sportswomen and this newfound friendship that you've got at so many different levels, you work with a lot of people that don't hunt.
Yeah,
Do
absolutely.
they look at you like a two-headed dragon?
No, I think that there is some curiosity with it, but anytime that I bring in game meat, they're always ready to take it because they want the meat. And then I show them pictures of how it came to be, and they get it. They ended up getting it all. So yeah. People at my work might have scratched their head initially when I say, "Oh, it's just," yeah. Well, especially because I work a white collar job. Like, I wear heels and I wear dresses all the time, and I love it. So yeah, it's a really.
You're a girly girl, but then you turn around and get out. You can you can get into the field and just be a tomboy.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I've always done. So catching frogs in dresses, it's a fun little thing.
So, do you have an aspiration to you do ride horses?
Yes.
Now, you didn't.
I
but
did
now-
not. No.
So you ride better than you did 3 years ago,
Oh my
obviously.
gosh, yes. Yes.
Do you have an aspiration to go hunting on horseback?
Yes, I do. I hope to do that in the near future. I'm currently, I just adopted which is all I can afford, a BLM Wyoming wild Mustang that was captured. He basically free. I mean, he's very cheap. But he had such a great personality, and now that I know a little bit more about horses and I've been riding for 2-3 years, it's been fun to work with him. I haven't even been on his back yet. Like, I've not been in the saddle with him, but I'm putting weight on the saddle now, and he does great with groundwork. He is a fantastic.
She's a unique individual, isn't she? She's a turn around and stop and think where she came from.
I grew up here doing this, about she's way more past than me.
She's like right in the middle of this stuff, and I think that's why this vision is so interesting. It's fascinating because people have this mentality, this vision in their
Mhm.
head that when animal rights extremists say something about the big, bad, gruesome, bloodthirsty, knuckle-dragging Neanderthal killer,
Oh.
they're thinking about my dumb ass and about half the people we associate with. But there's a tremendous amount of a different individual group out there.
Mhm.
We see people that have quite a different look
Oh, yeah.
and a different background, and you're an example of that. So it's kind of interesting to see how that transforms into stuff that you came from California,
Mhm.
you went to Georgia, you're here. Where do you see yourself on the hunting side of things over the course of the next 2 to 5 years? I mean, you've done so much in a 3-year period.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 3 years since 2022. You've done so much since 2022
Mhm.
and not really turn around and fill the trophy room up, and you just filled your first freezer up with a roadkill.
With a roadkill, yeah.
So where do you see yourself, and what do you wanna try to
Well,
accomplish
I'll
personally?
actually go back to probably the 127 campaign. During that, when we met, actually, um, which I think we can get into that here
Yeah.
soon, but
You go right ahead.
yeah,
Yes.
like,
This is a free-for-all at this point.
so when we first met, I said I wanted to help, and I was still very adamant about protecting hound hunting, because I think it's very misunderstood. I don't think even people who hunt with like deer and elk and all that, if they've never been on a lion hunt, I cannot emphasize enough, you should go out with hounds. If you're a bird hunter and you think that this won't come down to you in the future, the hounds are just, what the antis are going after first. And the GPS collars a lot of dog owners use. So that was so interesting to me, just that one experience with Roman, didn't even see a cat. And then flip side to 2024, political was getting so hot, and no one went, or 127 was just getting so prominent in Colorado. That's when I was like, okay, I got to do something, and that's when we met. But when I went to the Capitol that same
Yep.
time, I met some other lion hunters, and they're like the nicest people ever, and you can tell they just love their dogs. And I explained who I was to some of them at the Capitol.
They're probably still looking with skepticism.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And but they were super nice, and they were like, "We'll just bring you out if you want to come, and you're not gonna fill a tag with us, because but if you just want to learn, truly, we don't mind taking you." That was the change of my life in general. I absolutely love Dave Occasion and John Alice. They are wonderful people, and they took me out all last season. I went with them almost every single weekend out lion hunting, and I hope to have a dog in the near future so I can start my own and hopefully be a lion hunter in the next couple years. I also plan on starting a family in the next couple years. So I plan to, as long if I feel comfortable enough to have my own dogs, I plan on taking hopefully my kids out.
So you're gonna have dogs, you're gonna have wild horses, you're
Yep.
gonna turn around and skydive into
Yep.
freaking remote places, have kids. You're just doing a whole gamut of
Doing the
things.
whole thing.
So give us a little bit of background. You mentioned the 2 guys that you spent a lot of time with
Yeah.
last year. You went on how many trips with them over the weekends?
Oh my gosh, I think I only missed 2 to 3 weekends from the duration of November 26th to March 30th, 31st, or whatever the last day of the month in
And
our
how
home.
many lions were you actually on
I saw 5 lions total last year
in trees?
in trees. Correct.
And what was harvested?
Nothing.
Nothing was harvested.
Absolutely nothing.
Why?
Because they were either all females or younger cats, and we were able to identify that solely because of hounds. And there was even times that it was very difficult, where we even called the nearby wildlife biologist to identify ear tags to make sure, before even harvesting anything, that it was either a male or a female, and it was a female. And nobody's trigger happy. Everyone wants to only harvest what they're set out to harvest, and
Because of the quotas and the way things are divided up on
Absolutely.
the science-based side.
Mhm.
And so most of what you did was along the Front Range corridor?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
All Rampart Range area. It was a really fascinating time. I got to learn a lot about lions during that, and how difficult it was, even with hounds, to find lions. I mean, we set out more hounds more than 5 times during that time, but hounds don't always guarantee a tree. And hounds also are not always spot on with things. So it's a gamble still, even with the hounds. And this is what's so crazy to me and why people think it's so easy. Once those hounds are out, you're not coming back until all of them are there. And so the last one that I went on we went like 7 miles
On foot.
on foot.
So you just didn't pull up into the truck,
No.
look at the GPS, drink a beer, and then turn around and go out like
Absolutely
it's
not.
been alleged.
Yes, yeah, it was absolutely insane. We were out of breath. These dogs were there forever, and it's a race to try to get there because they're so much faster than you. Because you want to make sure everything is good and dandy over at the tree, and that the cat's not going to get done and jump or anything along those lines. So it was a really educational time period for me, and to see if I really wanted to go in and get hounds of my own. And it's still, even I'm still on the fence on certain aspects. I'm teetering on the yes, but it is it's a hard thing to do. And I think a lot of houndsmen don't share that, but it is super hard to not only get into, but to be good at it. There's plenty of houndsmen that just have dogs and don't catch.
So I want to try to paint a picture here, because you explain it in a much different way than the average houndsman. Because you immersed yourself into this, but then I think you soaked it up like a sponge, to the point to where it was all new.
Yeah.
Guys that have done this for the last 30 years, some of it, they forget all the special moments of it.
Yes.
That you got a chance to turn around and experience, because you were looking at this, and you were never really intending on harvesting anything.
No,
and it was just,
no.
you were there along with the guys to be able to turn around and do
Absolutely.
it. So give me an example. It doesn't have to be specific,
Mhm.
but so let's just say you went out 16 times,
Yep.
for an example. You ended up treeing 5 lions.
Mhm.
How many tracks did you see versus how many times did you turn the dogs out versus how many times did you actually not get anything in the tree?
Yeah, if we had 5 lions in a tree, we probably saw 30 tracks of some sorts,
Over the entire
plus
winter.
over the entire winter, and then turn the dogs out because there's some that were just, small. They're either yearlings in there or, smaller females or
Might
anything.
then go into a different area you couldn't hunt,
Exactly.
or to a different unit that wasn't
Yes,
open, or whatever the case might be.
absolutely. So probably about, I don't know, 18, 16 times that we went out.
That
And
you
then
didn't turn the dogs loose.
that we did turn the dogs
Okay.
loose. So like 30 and then 16, so
Okay.
like half of that,
You
and
did
then
5.
5. So yeah, it was a long, grueling season. I was freezing because we're doing this in the snow for the most part. And yeah, I was very surprised because, there's some people out there that have this misconception of like, oh, it's so easy with hounds. And I just wasn't sure. I was going in very blind.
So how long did it take for you to see the first lion in a tree?
About a month and a half into the season.
And you'd been going every weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And for a variety of different reasons,
Yeah.
either the dogs didn't turn out good or the tracks didn't,
Yep.
whatever it was.
Mhm.
A month and a half, and you were out there
Yes,
pursuing
correct.
with no success.
Yes.
So it was kind of like you goose hunting or dove hunting to start with,
Yeah.
with dogs.
Yeah, but I mean, these guys have been doing it for 30 years.
And they're experts.
They're experts. They are fantastic at what they do. They are really great with their hounds. I mean, they have great hounds. So it was really surprising.
And they know the country.
They know.
I mean, it's not like they're just cold calling and just showing up and going, let's willy-nilly.
Yeah.
They actually know where they want to go.
Absolutely.
And they know a lot of these particular traits
Yes.
of specific lions,
Mhm.
where they cross and what they do. And we don't want to go there because this female's got kittens, or we're looking for a tom to cross, but now he's trying to find a female that's in heat,
Exactly.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But then you have competition from other houndsmen.
Yep.
And then you have particular areas where there's no access,
Yes.
where you find a lion coming off of here, you follow the track around, it crosses the road again, then goes into a piece of property that you can't hunt, or that's
Exactly.
closed to hunting, or there's no accessibility because of subdivisions or homeowners
Exactly.
associations.
And there were times where I was like, oh my gosh, they're just gonna cross this corner and you're calling your dogs off? I was like, that's annoying. That's so dumb. And they're like, yeah, we got to call them off because they're going to probably cut through that property. And I was like, I mean, it's hard. It's
But you're like, aren't they coming out the other side?
exactly. I'm like, come on. They're not. And they're like, nope, we can't do it. And they'll call them off. And I'm like, I mean, I get it. I know that's the right answer.
That's the ethical thing.
Yeah, that is the ethical thing to do. It was just, especially as somebody new that was like, gosh, I just want to see one. I just want to see one. It was frustrating. It was really, really frustrating. So I was like, okay, I understand that why that's frustrating now, because at first I was like, I mean, yeah, I don't want dogs running through my property. I get it. But then after you're like, gosh, that sucks. Because, I mean, we know it's not stopping at that corner of one.
He didn't go in there and throw his paws up and go, well, they're not coming after.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, it was an eye-opening experience the whole time.
You told me a story last week, without getting into the specifics of the location.
Yeah.
You had an interaction with some people when you were with John.
Yeah.
That when you came up, the lion was in the tree.
Yeah.
But there were people there as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So
Like-
we went, and there the lion was treed. This was actually after the 7-mile trip. So I'm winded. I'm out of breath. I am like finding a pulse. John is older than me and was way ahead.
And bigger.
Yeah.
I'll give you credit, and bigger.
A lot bigger. And I was like, gosh, I
No
hope
offense,
that was
John.
there. Yeah. I was like, I hope we're really close to there. And we get to the tree, and it's almost behind of a residential area, but we started out on a mountaintop. So we were like, you're kidding. How does it get treed here? And it was all kind of dry land up to that point. John's dogs kicked ass that day. So
No snow.
no, there was barely any snow. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. And there's some people there, and we were walking up, and
They heard the dogs barking.
they heard the dogs barking. They made the hike in. And this couple was there, and I was a little surprised because the lady was wearing some more like affiliated, more Republican like clothing, and she was so angry. And I was like, what is going on? John was like, don't worry, I got it taken care of, and not a problem. And he walked up, and he was like, how are you guys doing? And they were like, your dogs have a lion in the tree. And he's like, yeah, we did that on purpose. And she was so angry with him and said, well, that's not fair chase. And he was like, well, do you eat meat? And she said, yes. And he goes, then why are you telling me how to harvest an animal when we're trying to figure this out right now, if it's even going to be harvested? And she was so just uptight and angry about the whole thing. And he was like, do you want to come see with us if it's a male or a female, and you don't have to be there if we do decide to harvest it? And she was so upset. She goes, is that fair chase? And he said, well, shooting something out of a deer stand is less work than what we just did. And we walked away, and I said, have a nice day. That's the only thing I said.
That's a good analogy, and that's why I wanted you to explain that, because hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people sit in stands and blinds around this country to conceal themselves with a variety of equipment, and scent shields.
Yeah.
You know, for trying to get an animal. You're trying to outsmart the animal.
Absolutely.
And man has done that since the beginning of the time.
Yes.
And the Native Americans used to stand up, you know, they used to stand rocks up on the hillsides to make it look like people to force buffalo and stuff into the different areas. Oh, man has not done anything any different than that.
Absolutely.
And hound hunting, dog hunting is one of the oldest forms of hunting. And it's
the fairest chase, I might argue, because this is the only form of hunting that the prey knows that they're being hunted from the time that those dogs turn out until potential harvest. A deer that is blind and eating corn or anything like that, they don't know they're being hunted. That's not, I mean, if you want to compare fair chase.
So you're saying everybody should get out of the truck and ring bells and stuff and then let the deer know they're coming?
I'm saying, like, if that's the argument of, like, you know, shooting out of the stand and is considered fair chase compared to hound hunting, I mean, those people need to wake up. Like, it's crazy to me.
But you didn't harvest that lion either.
No, we did not. Nope, that was the one that we called the biologist for. It had 2 ear tags, and being in a tree actually gave us the amount of time we couldn't get the tail to raise and all that. And those are the kind of things that we were like, okay, we don't want to harvest a female. And that was actually great information for that biologist to know, because they lost that lion. It wasn't a collared one. It had 2 different ear tags, and it was a lost lion for that biologist they were looking to figure out.
It probably had tags in it, one maybe from a previous collar, but also maybe from an interaction where it got
Exactly.
trapped and translocated. and became, maybe it was a 2-strike deal.
Yep.
But so is that the only collar, or is that the only tagged lion that you saw?
That I've personally seen, yes.
Really?
Yep.
Did you come up across any collared lions anywhere?
John did have one, I believe, this year. I was not, unfortunately, there. He went out on a weekday, and I said,
Could go.
yeah, I was like, of course you're gonna make me decide between work and this. And I was like, no, I should probably go to work. And that's always the wrong answer. Always the wrong answer to go to work. You should always go hunting. Say it here first. So,
Unless your boss is listening
Yeah,
again, you always go to work.
or never mind.
And so when you were spending time in the field with those guys,
Mhm.
what was your perception, not just with their dogs, but their knowledge and their expertise about their years of experience that they've been able to convey back to you in some capacity? Because I've taken a lot of people. I'm not a good teacher,
Yeah.
but I've taken a lot of people that have learned off of me just by doing what I do, and it's learning by example more than
Mhm.
anything. Um, did you find out things not just about hound hunting, but about hunting in general
Yes.
that you found to be things that you kept slapping yourself upside the head, going, "Well, if I'd have known this 5 years ago, or 4 years ago, or 2 years ago."
Well, the first one I mentioned earlier, the fire situation, that was huge. Also, I'm always going to be colder than what I assume. So that's another one. But overall, I mean, tracks are something that I'm like, oh yes, I can identify a deer track, an elk track, all of that. But that was something really interesting with lions that I didn't understand I mean, these guys have been doing it and they're like, yeah, this is clearly a yearling, or this is a young kitten, or I'm like, gosh, I don't know. Or
Female.
yeah, or a female or anything, and how they walk is different, and why.
The lobes on the back of the track.
Yes, and it's just I was like, wow, there's so much to it. And even towards the end of the season, I finally was picking up on those little things, but they didn't even know that they were doing it. They were like, oh yeah, female, and I was like, wait, explain why. Like, so it was really I think it was a really cool experience overall, that like all these little pieces of knowledge that they picked up over the years, on why they moved the way they moved, or anything along those lines. Or this lion, showed that they were going slightly this way, so I know the property well enough that they'll probably go around this ridge. I mean, just things you don't get.
And this is where the road goes, or that's where the ridge goes, and they like to cut
Yes.
down there. And
And I had no idea that no matter what, pretty much all lions, like male lions, will go kind of through the same migratory path, whether there's a house there, whether anything, they have their territories. I also had no idea that there was like maybe not 10-to-1 ratio, but it's a higher majority of females compared to the males. I had no clue how much harder it was going to be to harvest a tom in comparison to just treeing a female. Like, wow, like the amount of times that tom would come through was so minimal during the season.
okay, question:
Mhm.
did you ever see kittens in a tree?
I saw just a yearling. So yeah, just a yearling in the tree. But we could tell. I mean, I don't know if I could have told you that prior to going with somebody with hounds or anything, because it didn't have spots and it was just on the smaller side. So if I would have been out in the field and elk hunting or anything, and that was a one that was approaching me, and I saw that it didn't have spots, that would have been a harvested one, and I probably would have felt really bad if I didn't have that knowledge in the tree.
To make a determination.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
this?
You could just see the features of like the younger looks, and it was slightly smaller and all that. But I mean, you don't get that opportunity to sex them or really, really truly determine their size if you're just harvesting it like on the ground or anything along those lines, which I was really surprised with. It's hard to really figure out if it's a male or a female, even when you do know what you're doing, if they don't have a tail.
So after doing it now,
Hmm.
you went one time unsuccessfully. Last year, you went 5 times successfully. A bunch of other times. How many times are you going this next year?
Oh, every weekend. Other than I'm getting married in December,
Yes.
so that I cannot go.
You can't get around that.
Yeah, I can't get around that one. But other than that, every weekend. So
And do you anticipate at some point that you'll want to try to harvest one?
yes.
Yes.
Yes, I would. I have tasted mountain lion from somebody else's harvest, and it was the best meat I've ever had in my life. It was so freaking good. And that's a huge reason why I also wanted to harvest my own. It was because I tasted it and I was like, damn, this is good. This is really good.
That's
So,
cool.
yeah.
That's cool. What do you think about you haven't harvested anything maybe besides a goose so far? Oh, you
Yeah,
did to a turkey.
my turkey this year with a
Okay.
bow.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah.
Cool. So bow hunting's not out of your
No,
plan
ma'am.
anymore.
I mean, my draw weight's pathetic. I'm gonna be honest, but we're getting there. There's one milestone at a time. My ultimate goal is to continuously go on the track of getting everything with rifle first, and then my later life will be bow. So
Right. And so, what do you think about three-dimensional memories on the wall?
I love them. Are you kidding me? There's I actually have weirdly enough, but my grandpa caught a marlin back in the 70s. And yeah, he has pictures of it, but I actually took it from him and it's on my wall.
Really?
Yeah, and I also try so like that kind of stuff is just the memory lasts a lot longer than just a picture, and you get to actually experience. I'm like, I don't know if I would have known what a marlin was growing up without that. And um, yeah, I love that aspect of it. I mean, really, it's just like that's not what you're doing it for ultimately, but it preserves that memory so wonderfully. And you can actually see all the details of the animal. The taxidermists have a really unique, wonderful job. I actually got into because I have so much free time, but back a few years ago I said, how hard could it be to make a cowhide rug? Gosh, it hurt so bad, but and my first one has so many holes in it possible.
From skinning and fleshing?
From skinning and fleshing, yeah, and but I did it. I cried. It was challenging, but it's in my living room, and I thought I was gonna be able to, like, sell cowhide rugs, which means yeah, I was like, how hard could it be? And I found a ranch, and I did a few of them. They wildly popular because you can tell that they're like the real ones instead of the ones off of Amazon, and they sold very quickly. But that one that I did, I will never. I don't even know the cow, but I'm like, I will never sell that. That is like my prized possession. 'Cause I
You
did
got
it.
the blood, sweat, and tears in it.
Oh yeah, lots of tears.
Yeah.
Lots of tears.
And how long did it take you to do that?
A million hours. It was like 3 days plus of just constant work, and that was around the same time I got those geese, and I was like, I gotta open up more room in the freezer. I gotta do it. But yeah, I learned that process, and again, taxidermist. There's been a lot of people in my corner. Bayou Bones down in Pueblo was very, very helpful during that time as well. Just gave me all the tools to real and knowledge, but again, you don't know what you don't know, and I thought it was gonna be something I could learn off of YouTube.
It's not like cooking popcorn, is it?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's so difficult, but I'm very for using every part of the animal, and I don't see if somebody's okay with harvesting meat and for like an animal for meat, then you should absolutely be okay with using every part, even if it is for decor. I mean, that is the whole point. You want to use the whole animal. You don't want to throw it away.
Yeah, but all of us get bastardized by what I consider to be our opposition, the
Mhm.
extremists, because they think that the only reason you would harvest anything is to eat it. But the meal, the nutrition, the protein that you get off of it
Yeah.
is a major source.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
they don't want us to do anything with the rest of it. They
Yeah.
find that appalling.
I think that it's appalling that they would want us to throw away something that could be used. And that's the ultimate goal, is to be able to use every part of the animal. That roadkill deer, yeah, the head and everything went back to CPW. We want the meat, but if I would have just left that there, would that be a better outcome? No, it's still dead. And there will, no matter what food source that you pick, whether it's an avocado, there are pesticides that will kill something to keep that safe. You are no matter what, just
Plowing the field,
you're plowing the field, you have to. So guess what? The least amount of animals that were killed with my food are usually just the one. And that's my goal, is when I'm harvesting an animal, just the one being dead instead of, anything else with that's going on. And it's just a great circle to be able to use everything. And I mean, even the leg, the United Blood Trackers,
Mhm.
they use those legs of the deer to to be able to get the scent off of the deer hoof to be able to help recover big game animals if they're wounded. So those are used too. So it's silly to think that there is not a use for everything a part of that animal. I mean, that's the whole point, to use it all. So
You explain it so good from a different perspective too. I mean, we've been trying to argue things for the last, 25 years, and you're explaining it from a very simplistic perspective
mhm.
that that a lot of the people that we've been talking to are just like young individuals like you. Um, where do you think the state of the state is at this point in time? Because you're naive to some degree, but you're much more educated than what you were.
Mhm.
But you're not an expert like some of your mentors that are taking you out
Yes,
the field.
absolutely.
Where do you think we are when it comes to trying to adapt people's perceptions on the human dimension side of things when it comes to what we advocate for science-based wildlife management that is
Mhm.
constantly being assaulted and attacked?
Absolutely.
How do you think that sits right now from your perspective, being here in the state since 2020 and being a sportswoman since 2022, and unsuccessfully until 2024? But
Yeah.
where do you think we sit?
Yes, so I truly believe that there is, the 10% that get it, like you guys. I mean, CRWM does so much, and with the education piece as well. So the 10% that really truly get it, the I'm gonna say probably honestly 3% of like true Colorado residents that are on the opposition, but are very loud and have a lot of. That was the biggest wake up call I had. The amount of out of state money that came in for that campaign was sickening. A lot of California groups, sorry. And then the 80-ish% in the middle that just wants to understand what's going on, and that I still feel like I fall in that category of like what could be done, or what could I do, or what is actually happening, and how will it affect me. And there's a lot of people that are in that middle chunk that don't want to sometimes be educated, and that's what's really difficult about this state, is that everyone wants to be left alone because they love the outdoors, and whether that be even fishing or kayaking or anything, they just want to be left alone, and that's how you lose the state. And that's what I saw in the history. We talked about, that wonderful book, but what had happened in California, it wasn't always like that, and Colorado wasn't always like it the way it is now up until like 2008. And I keep seeing that these out of state interest groups keep coming in and trying to influence people that may live in the cities that are ignorant, but then there are some people even on our side that are like bashing them for living in the city or anything, when they're just not educated and they just don't know. I didn't know. I had no idea. I would have never fought for hound hunting or anything like that 10 years ago. I would have been like, yeah, I don't know anything about it. So sounds horrible. But just the continuing education piece of it all is what I would preach for people that don't want to lose any hunting or fishing, because once you move that needle a little bit, as you know, with politics, it's not going to stop there. And that's my biggest concern with this state, is that people continuously sitting idle until it's too far gone, or thinking that it's too far gone, and then they're going to have a big wake-up call when it actually is too far gone. Because this isn't just happening here. We're, Colorado and CRWM specifically saw a win in the election season, but correct me if I'm wrong, but there was I think 37 other ballot measures during the November time period
In the
in the
United
United States
States, yeah.
that all passed to create more regulations for hunting and fishing in every other state. So if you think it's just happening here and, oh, I'll just move to Wyoming, it's happening up there too.
Yeah.
So maybe stand up and actually fight for what you believe in, instead of waiting for it to go away and then bitch about it on Facebook.
You see a little bit of that, don't you?
Seen a little bit of that, and that's probably my biggest gripe on the political spectrum of like, I know that a lot of people care, and it's really disheartening to see that there's like, to hear you say that like I'm like a huge like component of everything politically, and I'm like, I just go to commission meetings. I just put up signs. I just talk to people. That took very little, and I'm still building my career. Like I'm
And trying to
still
build a
learning.
family.
Yeah.
Trying to learn how to harvest.
Planning a freaking wedding, like all this stuff. Like, so like I feel like I'm a fairly busy person, and I've also volunteer for a really great.
I was gonna cover that. So
Yeah.
so get into that a little bit.
Oh yeah, so I actually volunteer. I'm a volunteer now instructor for Colorado Youth Outdoors, the Colorado Springs chapter. I help out with their community outreach, and what the basis of the program in Colorado Springs is to bring in families and build relationships around outdoor recreational sports. So hunting, fishing, but it's also trap shooting, archery. We teach fly fishing, spin fishing, boar shooting. So it's been really cool to see these families come in and teach, a dad how to shoot trap shooting and a daughter, instead of just focusing on the daughter or like a kid learning how to do it. It's really cool to see that relationship grow by using traditional outdoor recreation.
Now they've got a branch up in Fort Collins, Loveland area.
Yes.
Bob Houston is the executive director up there. What sparked your interest to get involved in that? Because the chapter in the Springs doesn't have near the facility as what the Fort
Absolutely.
Collins does. How the hell did you find that?
Yeah, so Marty
You
Trujillo.
just showed up again?
Yeah, I just showed up. Marty Trujillo is a huge reason why I'm a part of that program. But just the people that we have down in the Springs was one. But I met Marty actually at one of the legislative dinners. He was telling me about it, and it's in my community. I don't see if I'm learning this stuff, might as well teach other people, because those people could have a big impact on the community as well. And that was my whole basis of why I needed to get involved. And why it's important to continue to give back to your community in things that you're passionate about, because those kids could be like me and just, feral little kids that think that it's just frogs that they enjoy grabbing out of the yard, but they could actually really enjoy hunting and fishing growing up, and, enjoy the Western heritage that we have here. And that's what excites me. I mean, that's what I want to continue
And
doing.
that's another notch on your gun belt, so to speak, that you're taking the time. I joke about this all the time. People say, thanks for doing what you're doing. You have 24 hours in the same day that I have.
Exactly.
It's just a matter of what you decide to do with it. And when somebody I see that's on Facebook or Instagram or doing some other social media, or they gripe and complain about something, or they don't appreciate what happened in a meeting or at the legislature or whatever, but they don't take the time to turn around and write a letter or do a virtual testimony or show up in person. We all have the same amount of time in a day.
Absolutely.
And a young lady that's starting a family that is feeling that she needs to be part of something that inspires her so much. I say this all the time. If everybody would just give 8 hours a year, 8 hours a year. I'm not talking, you're giving almost 8 hours, coming up here, going back and forth, and the time we spent in the last week. 8 hours a year is all that people would have to give. And as long as it wasn't a banquet or a fundraiser or something, unless they're going to donate their time to go do it.
Absolutely.
But you going and spending money and eating dinner and buying a few raffle tickets is great, but that's not the fight.
No.
That's the advocacy for the conservation side.
Yes.
If you walked into a restaurant, and some of the girls that we know that have restaurants that their family does, if you walked into a restaurant and somebody wanted to talk about hunting that was 60 years old, would you talk to them any different than what you would talk to a young lady or a young man that's your age?
Absolutely not. No.
Same way.
Same way. There's no reason to talk to anybody any different. I mean, me and you, we've created a friendship, I think, because I treat you just the same.
Yeah.
I'm like, yep, there's Dan.
both smarties.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there's no reason to do so. And if especially if you have the knowledge, I think getting out there and being able to share that with anybody, I don't understand. I understand, like, keeping a spot secret. Okay, I get it. But, like, to basically just, like, want to keep hunting elk a secret, or keep hunting deer a secret, and you're like, no, I don't want any more hunters out there. I mean, that's the whole reason of conservation. You want to continue to have the legacy move on throughout multiple generations. And the more of us that go out there and experience it, at least understand. I mean, I taught my mom how to catch her first fish this year at 54, And like she was like, "Oh my gosh, I get it," but she didn't.
Oh my
well,
gosh.
she was like, "That was so fun." No, I didn't understand it. She didn't understand it before. And she doesn't like fish, but I ate her fish. So it was great. I mean, just that is the whole point, is to share the passion, and because that passion will show to other people if you do have it, and it might spark an interest on why. I mean, that's the whole reason I got into it. These kids were so passionate about, in my high school, about going out to deer hunt. And I go, "Oh, what's so, it can't be that hard." And they're like, "Come on, these are idiots." Like, and it sparked that interest.
And to this day, you still haven't any
Still
sub.
haven't
So those are smart kids.
They're really smart kids. So yeah, I was like, "Come on." So, but yeah, that's like the whole point, is once you're passionate about something, you don't want to gatekeep it for other people not to be able to go out and enjoy the same things, because you never know who's going to be in that batch of people. I mean, that kid could inherit $1 billion in the future and want to protect hunting and fishing forever. So share it far and wide as much as you can, and that's the whole point.
So what's more important? People that can currently vote, that you can turn around and instill your wisdom and your experience, or ones that can't vote for 6 to 8 years that you need to coddle to the point to where when they can vote, hopefully they vote the right direction from their experiences.
I might have a wild take on this, but I genuinely believe that most of the voting that happens in this state are women 18 to 44. That is what I think generally drives a lot of elections. Women talk.
Really?
Yeah. So there's
Like, really?
yeah. So I think that women are very passionate about things. So yes, I mean, kids are super important to understand this lifestyle. We don't want it to go. But I think that a lot of women that are having kids end up instilling these values as well. So in my opinion, it would be a target demographic of 18 to 44 women specifically is who I would vote, or
Not to
choose
cast the
vote for.
kids aside.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
you need to dedicate some, but as I've often advocated for, I'm a supporter of the kid side of it.
Mm-hmm.
But if I put all my effort into the kid side,
Yeah.
and we lose this over here,
Yes.
there's nothing for the kids to turn around and do once they get to that point.
Yes.
Now people that can juggle both sides of that are great.
Absolutely.
What I see more often than not is a lot of people juggle one or the other.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
you're trying to figure out a way to engage at this level
Yes.
and also do the kids,
Absolutely.
because I think it provides a legitimate crossover, a cross-pollination.
Yes.
Brett Axton with Rocky Mountain Roosters and Safari Club International and Sportsman for Community and a
Mhm.
variety of other different things. Ronald McDonald House. I mean, he's engaged at a level that is probably more inspirational and mesmerizing, because he just swallows it up to the point where, I mean, can you do any more?
Exactly.
But he gets people like you and I and others and to get involved with it.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get you to go to one of their shoots out there when they do their fundraising deal, because they'll get 400 people there, and
Yeah.
it's a pretty cool experience. Do you find yourself critically assessing what other people do that you know is right or wrong or indifferent, and try to figure out a way? Do you back off, or do you jump right in with both feet? And I kind of got a feeling that you probably jump in with both
Yeah,
feet.
jump in with both feet for sure. Anytime that I see anybody like representing our perspective wrong, anything like that, I'm always making sure to jump in, and that's first and foremost. But also people that might just be a little bit ignorant, I feel like it's easier coming from me because I was just there 3 years ago. So, I mean, if you're out big game hunting and see somebody like hunting out of their truck or something like that, which I've never seen, but if that does happen, like I'll be the first to go over and say, "Hey, it's not okay, and we can go in together. You can shoot. I don't care."
Right.
Because ultimately, I just want to make sure everybody actually reads that freaking handbook, knows what they're doing when they first come in. That's my ultimate goal. And then on the flip side, the old guys that have been going in there just kind of
As she just references me again.
the
The old
old
guys.
guys over here. I mean, there's some that just are, set in their ways. But I'm also the first to say that too. And I mean, it's easier. This is why I'm good at my day job, is because it's easy. It's easier hearing bad news from me than and like stuff you don't want to hear. In comparison to, like, somebody else.
The old guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
guys. So yeah, I don't think that you have to necessarily be mean to ignorant people. Again, I was one. Probably still am in certain capacities, but overall, like, it's we want to continue to make this community of hunting, fishing, agriculture, all of it polite and wonderful. And it's hard to see that there's some people that are still a little mean when it comes to, like, people doing things wrong. And if you're doing things wrong and you're doing it on purpose, that's a whole different story. But if you just really don't know, I mean, and you've been hunting for 30 years and you think that kid's an idiot, I mean, go take him out. Like, just go and mentor. But it's not going to change your season if you're tagging out at the beginning of the year every year. So it is what it is.
If you want to support a company that supported the efforts to defeat Proposition 127, then you need to support Davis Tent. Davis Tent has provided quality canvas goods for outdoorsmen for the last 50-plus years. For more information, go to davistent.com. If you want to support another business that was instrumental in helping us defeat Proposition 127, check out Salida Gun Shop. Salida Gun Shop in Salida, Colorado provides quality products, expertise, and knowledge from individuals that actually do what they sell. Go to salidagunshop.com. Listen to the advice of Cameron Haynes and support companies that are supporting your cause and your efforts. Minturn Anglers is one of those companies. Minturn Anglers provides product and fishing excursions in Colorado and are second to none. For more information, go to minturnanglers.com. When did you start investigating or kind of understanding the role that conservation was? I mean, you started getting into hunting, but when did you really start putting two and two together that this was a necessary means to manage wildlife scientifically, not just in North America, but around the world? How did that transition into you comprehending how important this was?
My biggest wake-up call was 127. And not only understanding all of it, but then understanding obviously that things can be taken away. But then I wanted to understand, why was this important for conservation? Why are mountain lions need to be managed? Why do predators need to be managed? And looking at all the data, looking at truly the science behind it, listening to our CPW biologists, and hearing everybody say the exact same things, and we want to stick to science-based wildlife management, really hit it home for me of, like, wow, this is, I'm not just doing this to provide food for myself. This is part of the ecosystem. It's important for everything to be managed, because we want to keep these animals around for forever. And not just for sport, but just the entire ecosystem. And why that's important for me in general, that was huge. I mean, there's a reason why mountain lions need to be managed. There's a reason why deer need to be managed. We see overpopulation in certain states. We've seen where politics get involved, and like in California, and there's lions going into LA because they're starving and picking up dogs, those kind of situations. And yeah, that might not have happened right when lion hunting was banned in California, but that happened years after, and they have a declining population, and it's going into they're starving to death down there. And I want to see lions stay here forever. I want to see bears stay here forever. I would love to just have a healthy population. And that's where I think that my stance on conservation differs from extremists on the other side. But where we really align is that science-based wildlife management is at the forefront of what we agree upon across
And you
the
didn't
board.
understand that from the beginning. You say you didn't really start to, the light bulb didn't start to go off until maybe the beginning of 2024, or maybe 23.
Yeah.
But what did you think prior to that? I mean, you had to go through get your hunter education. You had to get a license. You had to apply yourself on the plethora of rules and regulations in
Yep.
multiple states. But did you really comprehend that it was anything more than a privilege?
No, no, and I didn't realize how easy that privilege could also go away. But yeah, I really was just out there just trying to learn about, where I fit into the food chain and how people did this to survive. That was my whole goal of doing things previously, and then providing a clean food source. All of those things were really important, but on the conservation side, I really didn't get it until 127, and that was my big light bulb moment overall.
And do you think that that you mentioned the 18 to 44-year-old woman, but the people that you were immersed into this whole process very,
Yes.
very short after
For
you started paying attention to it. Do you think that those other people could be easily swayed from one side or the other
Oh,
for the
absolutely.
good or for the not so good, or what we would consider not
Yep.
so good? And why would you think that that would be so easily done?
I truly believe that it's just for lack of education. And I think that most of the things that are considered unpleasant to the general population, understanding where food comes from, understanding how wildlife really interacts, like Bambi's not gonna make it, it's probably getting eaten by a lion, like, those are realities that we're not living in a Disney fairy tale. Those things I had to wake up from, and it's a cruel world out there, and when you try to save everything, you save nothing, and so there is this holistic approach of science-based wildlife management that really resonated with me, but also I told you about my dad. He did not grow up hunting. He only hunted because of me. He still does not hunt. And
But
he,
he's acceptant of you doing it.
yes, well, he was very, no, we had a lot of heated, I'll call it debates, on the hounds when I was going out with hounds. He didn't understand it. And I told him about, all the different times of treeing lions and how it helped the biologists in that area, how it helped keep these lions, I mean, the in quotes hazing process to keep lions out of these neighborhoods to not be able to do that. These are management aspects that CPW appreciates about hunters. And on top of it, the amount of money that goes from hunters to protect these animals. I mean, there's animals that would have been extinct without the hunters' funds, like that kind of stuff. And I flipped his opinion. So I think that just continuing to have those hard conversations and continuing to, it might be uncomfortable for people who aren't used to this, but gradually holding hands into, hey, I know that, you might not be ready to learn about lion hunting, but let's talk about deer hunting or anything like that. Let's gradually get you there and truly understand. And that's the whole point, is science-based wildlife management.
Did you ever understand the confusion, or maybe you had some revelation in your life, but did you ever understand the confusion about preservation versus conservation? Because you hear people talk about preservation. We want to preserve this, but we also want to conserve that. Did you understand the difference between the
I
two of
did
those?
not. No, I did not understand anything when it came to preservation or conservation prior to even 127. And now like I mentioned, when you try to save everything, when you try to, I don't want to kill a deer, I don't want to do this, you're inherently messing with what has always been and what is necessary for that ecosystem, whether you like it or not. The preservation piece does not fit in well with what's actually science-based. And that is what I didn't realize at first when I was not a hunter or not even immersed in hunting. I just thought that, oh, the predators will manage themselves, or I just want to keep them around. Well, that's not keeping them around.
Which is hard to say in a state like California, where you got 29 million people,
Yeah.
or Colorado, where you got 6 million people and 84 million visitors. I understand people's perspectives when they say, well, we need to have it like it used to be.
Yeah.
Well, then we need to turn around and figure out a way to get all the people out of the out of the
Absolutely.
equation, which some people would like to do that.
Mhm.
Do we have too many people some places? I think we do.
Yeah.
But also realizing that we are stewards of the landscape, and getting people to understand that they can be stewards of the landscape as well,
Absolutely.
even if they don't pursue game.
Yes.
But they don't have to be animal rights extremists, in my opinion,
No.
if they really care about it.
Absolutely.
Look and do the research and try to figure out what's the best methodology that you should follow, and the best method of I guess management is, do you leave it alone? Well, that's not management.
No.
Or do you
Absolutely.
try to manage it to where, to your point, you're allowing some things to be harvested for the benefit of all, knowing full well that you're part of the ecosystem just as much as what they are.
Absolutely, and that's a huge part of why hunting is so important, is selective harvest. We're not going out there and killing, Bambi, and so we're going after older, we're going after mature animals that have lived a very long, painful life already, because it's not easy out there to survive. I've seen some stuff, and instead of, it going to waste as meat or anything, like a car hitting it and, not having a crazy lady to call to come field dress it because there's too many in that area, then the hunters come in and they actually provide food for their families. And that's a huge win across the board. I have troubles with the disconnect I see on the opposition side of thinking that, I went for my own educational purposes on this learning experience to some of these meetings of on the opposite, just to make sure I wasn't making a mistake, to make sure I truly believed what I believe. And it doesn't make sense how there are still people out there that think we cannot manage anything, that hunting should go away, and that has been talked about in some of these meetings, and everything will be fine. When the whole reason moose are even here is because of human introduction back into the state of Colorado. So I mean, there's just so many things that hunters have provided for this state that I think that these extremists take for granted, and realize first of all, where's the funding going to come from? Conservationists and hunting provides all of these opportunities for you to even fight for this.
When
So-
did you move here?
2020.
What month?
July.
And so, did you vote in the 2020 election?
Yeah, of course I did.
And did you vote on wolves?
I did not vote on wolves, actually. Back then, I did not vote on wolves.
You just
Or
decided
in 2020?
2020.
Mm-mm.
You decided not to check the
I
box.
did not.
Yeah.
No,
And so why?
I didn't know anything about it.
Well, you're probably one of the few people you'd ever talk to that turned around and said, I didn't check the box because I didn't know anything, because everybody else says, well, if it says yes or no, I have to do something.
No,
And that's our fear when it comes to ballot box biology.
Mhm.
So you didn't vote on wolves then,
No.
but now you've seen this progress into a variety of different conversations on wolves. What do you think, after the results on the wolf election,
Mhm.
based upon the results on 127 4 years later, what do you think the big difference was between people bringing wolves in, or thinking that was a grandiose idea that they wanted to hear a wolf howl,
Yeah.
and then us being able to turn around and flip the coin pretty handily
Mhm.
by a 10-point margin in 2024? What was the difference?
Education. I feel like that a lot of people didn't understand what the true nature of bringing in those wolves were. I mean, talk about abuse. They kidnapped those wolves from their home and dropped them into Colorado. They had a history of eating livestock. They're out here. There's so many deprivation issues. We are way over budget. I mean, for anybody that has voted on that doesn't regret it, I would be shocked. I regret not voting on it, and I didn't even check anything. But yeah,
You didn't know enough
I
about
didn't know enough about it. But that's that education piece where a lot of people in general don't feel like it's necessary to talk about during election years because it's not that big of a deal. How could they bring that? That's a horrible idea. Well, it happened, and now we're living in those consequences. I hope that was a lesson learned, and I think it was, based on 127, of you got to be in the fight at all times for each one of these issues, because you give people an inch to think on their own and not have any informative facts, you're just rolling it up to chance at that point, because there's plenty of people that didn't vote on that issue because they didn't think it was either going to happen or weren't educated. There was not enough information out there.
Exactly.
So
Based upon what you've observed in the last 5 years since you moved here, do you think the state, wildlife-wise, is going in the right direction? Or do you think it's continually going downhill? Or do you think it's stagnant?
I am an optimistic person. So here's what I'll say. I think that we're in a scary sense just in general. There's so much out of state money coming into the state to constantly fund fights, uh, way more than grassroots people can usually handle. However, on the flip side, we have the best grassroots effort. We have CRWM, we all these great, fantastic groups of people that are standing up and continuing this movement past 127, that I still have a lot of hope for. So I do not think that this state is going to be in the toilet in the next couple years, and I know a lot of people will probably roast me over that, but that's fine. I'm an optimistic person. But I do think that we have a lot of challenges still. I think that going to those commission meetings has also been a very eye-opening experience for me over the last year.
Yeah, because I've seen you sit back there and roll your eyes on
Oh
occasion.
my
So
gosh, it's hard not to throw stuff. It's shocking. I don't do public comment yet because I think that I listen to John on this quite a bit. It's not worth it to do a public comment on every little thing because it doesn't make it impactful, and that's what the opposition does, is just do a public comment on every single issue. And it's not even pertaining what they're voting on. So yeah, I'm gonna save that for a nice rainy day moment of when we have something big we're gonna fight. And but overall, just being educated on that side and to figure out what really could trickle down as a big issue is so important.
do you enjoy commission meetings?
No. Well, actually, they are comical to a certain extent. I do enjoy hearing how it's almost sad on how lost certain people are that come to the meetings, or I don't know what they're even talking about, or
Either do they.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
no
the
idea.
time. Yeah, either do they. When when you see commissioners that we don't necessarily see eye to eye
Yes.
with, um, that they're rolling their eyes at particular comments.
Absolutely. Because it's
you can-
embarrassing.
Yeah, it's like, oh, for crying out loud, and this is what we're here to talk about today.
Exactly.
It doesn't have anything to do with the actual wildlife management
Absolutely.
or the sustainable habitat conservation efforts or whatever. People have a different way of expressing their views, and more often than not, it's from an uneducated position.
Exactly.
And that's frightening and disheartening to me at the same time.
Yes, totally agree. And the commission meetings are, they're a little boring, but like I said, they are comical. I love like running into people there and just giggling in the back and going, I can't believe that person just said that, or anything along those lines. But it's also very educational. It's very important to know what's coming up. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but the commission itself obviously can control so much of what happens in conservation, or on a quick vote. And so having representation there for you, when it sounds crazy, but they could take away elk hunting if they wanted to in just a day, and no one knows how important those commissioners are to the future of hunting and fishing. And so that's really important to me to figure out, okay, if I can go, I'm going to go there. And even if I'm the only one there and I am the only one, that is a part of this conversation that has a brain, that's okay, because if I need to step up and do that, then I can and know what I'm talking about. But there are plenty of people out there that, on the opposition, that just send anybody with a sheet of talking points. I've seen it. They print it out, which is sad, actually, because they're just reading off their talking points. So getting involved and really understanding what's going on the commission side is so important. Knowing the commissioners, they have open houses. A lot of them are very nice people, even if we disagree on certain issues. But again, I wasn't like this previously. So keeping that an open mind and being kind and respectful to commissioners that might not agree with you. I know there's a commissioner that went on a lion hunt and didn't agree with that previously. So those are huge ways to be able to come there, especially if you are very knowledgeable about hunting and fishing already and passionate about it. You don't want to see it leave. Those commission meetings are super important.
You wanted to talk about your involvement with CRWM, and you wanted to give a little bit of a perspective or story on how we met and your engagement since then. And then we're going to talk about a project that we've been working on. So
Yeah, so when we met in 2024, Yeah.
2024.
Yeah, 2024. So it's almost been a whole year.
Yeah.
This
You're
was
still hanging around.
Yeah, still hanging around. I had seen a video of you yapping on social media.
Which I did frequently, thanks to our cameraman over here that turned around and made sure that we covered all that.
And when I saw that, you said, okay, if you want signs, come on over to Davis Tent and we'll get you some signs. And I went to my boss that day. I was like, hey, can I put up some signs on some of our properties? And they were like, yeah, that's fine. We're passionate about what you're passionate about, so go for it. I said, great. So I drove from Colorado Springs to Denver that night after a long day of work, and everyone was super nice, but very, I could tell, cautious when I was like, hi, I'm just here to pick up some signs. And they're like, who are you?
Where are you from?
Where are you from?
And why are you here?
And I was like, I told you again, from just a girl, just me. And then I was introduced to you, and you said, who are you with? And I said, myself. I don't know what else to answer. It was just me coming up.
Because you're not, are you a member now of associations?
No,
No.
nothing. I'm not a member of anything.
So the skepticism was
Yeah.
valid.
Yes, absolutely. And I didn't understand that back then. I didn't understand why all the lion hunters previously also turned me down to go. I didn't get any of it. I was, again, ignorance is bliss. I was having a grand old time.
So when we first met, you listened to a lot of conversation in that setting.
Yep.
And then we got to spend a little bit of time together and helped you facilitate what you were trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Which was a benefit to the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
When you were doing that, you felt what? That you were doing something. You felt like you went from not knowing anything to participating at the little level to now you're helping to turn around and distribute a message that you agreed with but didn't really know anything about.
Yeah. So once I kind of really figured out all the pieces and I cared about, keep preserving that piece of hunting that was so important, even though I only had done it once at the time, I wanted to make sure that I could do as much as physically possible, because once you lose it, you're never getting it back. And I wanted to make sure that that was still going to be preserved for the people that are here that are doing it. I did not want all these good people that I had met during that time to, go out of state. They're productive members of society. Like they're good people. They would have to leave their families to be able to continue doing what they're super passionate about. For their dogs to still have a working job. I mean, working dogs are crazy. So, and so that's why I came up to and started getting all those signs, is because I wanted to make sure that even if I didn't do it myself, that I was preserving it, because I know what was going to come next. They'd chip away at all of the little pieces of hunting and fishing that I was just getting into. I'm like, I need a lifetime to learn this crap, and it is hard. So please, for the love of
At this rate, I might not ever harvest anything.
So come on. So yeah, that was my biggest goal, was to just make sure that that as much as I could do, even if we lost, I wouldn't look back and go, I stood idle. And I'm a part of the reason, because that's what happened with the wolves, and why I didn't vote. I mean, I didn't vote because I didn't know. Well, ignorance isn't an excuse for something that you end up losing. And I don't want to be a part of the problem. I'm tired. I don't want to be a part of the problem. And just because our state maybe doesn't vote the same way, or like align the same way I do, doesn't mean I'm not going to vote, because that's stupid. I'm not going to not be active, because there's plenty of people that could end up changing the state as a whole, in my opinion. Again, I'm optimistic. I still have hope for Colorado as a whole. I think that there's so many great people here. Maybe I just meet all the right people, but there's
You're in a pretty good circle, though. I mean, with the gals that have come out, you kind of all clicked.
Oh, absolutely. I love that.
Just which is kind of, it's cool. It's inspiring, because I would meet this family, or I'd meet this lady, or I'd meet this young gal. And then now you're all connected at the hip in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely. We just went skeet shooting on Tuesday.
Yeah,
yeah, all of us.
And you've got some plans to do some other hunting.
Yep.
But you're also working on a project with CRWM.
Yes.
And a bunch of these ladies.
Absolutely.
Explain that.
We are actually going to be doing a Women of Conservation calendar coming out, all facilitated through CRWM, and it's all the ladies that really were No bikinis, nothing like that. But let me make that clear.
No
not
nudes,
to
no
get-
bikinis.
Yeah, not to get your hopes up, but yeah, there's a lot of really great ladies that have pushed conservation and science-based wildlife management that have been um, such a really inspirational group. I mean, these ladies are bow hunters. They're, harvesting things all the time, or newer like me, and they're just welcome me with open arms. I mean, they're just a great group of ladies, and yeah, this calendar is going to feature all of those ladies, and including me, which I'm honored to be a part of. And it'll be coming out, October?
It'll be coming. The pre-sales will be in October. It'll be for November and December of 25 and all of 26. So there's 14 months, and we've got a variety of different sponsors, and we'll do a prelude to that as well. But the sponsors, Shields and the Rocky Mountain Bighorn Society and Wild Sheep Foundation, Safari Club, the Colorado chapter, Salida Gun Shop. We got a plethora of different sponsors that are coming out. Iron Will Outfitters just jumped on board from Colorado Springs.
Amazing.
And it's cool to see the connectivity on this, because the animal rights extremists are fighting to take things away.
Mhm.
The conservation community is fighting to keep what we have and build off of the successes over the course of the last 125 years. When you were asked to be part of the calendar and you kind of found out who else was going to be involved with the other gals, what was your first impression?
Oh, I was honored. I was so excited. I mean, I think I actually had said, I don't think I'm good enough to be a part of it, because I knew some of these other women, and they are, I mean, inspirational women in the sportswomen just in general. I mean, they're badasses. I love them. So I just didn't feel like I was a part of that category because I'm still so new. Um, but again, like they welcomed me with open arms, and they were like, "No, you've done so much to help out," which again is so crazy to me because I feel like I've done fairly minimum. I mean, I put up a lot of signs. I talk to people. That should be something that everybody that's passionate should be able to do. But yeah, that is these women are just fantastic groups. So.
You showed up to banquets, you've showed up to
Mhm.
events, you've showed up to rallies at the Capitol, you've showed up to a variety of different settings. Did you think 3 years ago that you would ever jump
No.
into this level if you just wanted to hunt?
Yeah, I just wanted to hunt, and I didn't even know what that even pertained. But no, I had no idea that this is where I would go with it. And I can't emphasize enough that if there is somebody new to hunting, or has an interest in hunting or conservation or fishing, or just wants to go and see what it's about in any way, there are so many great women's groups out there. There's so many great CPW intro, beginner lessons, courses, anything along those lines that are not hard to, they're very accessible. So there's a lot of options out there, and I hope that it continues to grow as uh, an effort in general with conservation, and that people that maybe look like me or have similar jobs to me can start seeing the value of why we a lot of transfers moved here and want to stay here, why people are here in general. I mean, it's not like any other state. It's such a beautiful, wonderful state, and to continue to get involved.
And even if they don't want to do it themselves, be acceptant of why we have it
Yes,
and understand the need for it.
absolutely.
And I'm when talking to you and talking to some of these other gals, you can see that there was a transition that I wasn't real sure.
Hmm.
I explored some of this, but you were at least cognizant enough to think, I need to find out for myself as opposed to being told from somebody else. And I need to find out what I like or what I don't like.
Yes.
And that might be something to where maybe you don't want to do fly fishing, or maybe you don't want to do bass fishing, or maybe you don't want to turn around and do upland bird hunting. Maybe you don't want to do hound hunting, but there's something out there that they can engage in that is supportive of conservation,
Absolutely.
and especially when it comes time to vote.
Hmm.
And so take into consideration what happened in 2024 and what happens through the commission process and the legislative process and probably other election processes on ballots. If you were to give a couple pieces of advice to other people, men, women, different ages,
absolutely.
backgrounds, what would you tell them to do if any of this conversation sparks an interest?
Yes, yeah. So first and foremost, if you're not involved in hunting, fishing, conservation, learn. Learn before you make any judgment. That's like number one piece of advice for anybody that's looking on the outside in. You really don't know until you're there, and you don't understand. You can say all you want that you saw a YouTube video. It's not the same. You have no idea what it's like until you're out there. Number two, if you are a longtime sports person or just a newcomer, there's always a place for you to come in and get involved, even at a low level, like myself. And just going and getting educated on the political side, it's so important because you don't know how good you have it until it's gone. So continuing to be a part of the conversation. 127 was fantastic. It was a great win. However, continuing that moving forward is so important because these extremists are not going anywhere. Colorado's awesome. So like this is a great state. Why would they go anywhere if they're not gonna go fight for, you know, some plains steak? That's lame. So yeah, because sorry, Kansas. Yeah, this is a really great state. I don't want to have to move into the middle of nowhere to be able to be who I am. And so that's huge. And I don't want to have to live in the middle of nowhere in general. Again, sorry, Joey. But I mean,
Fiance.
that's the other piece of this is that don't let people where they live get super disconnected from the Western slope. The people in Colorado Springs, the people in Denver, I know that is people walk on eggshells or people go completely the opposite route and just don't want to talk to those people at all. But like I said, I wear dresses and heels on a daily basis. And there's plenty of people in my office that also hunt. They're wearing suits and ties and they're just going out with their families. And that is something that's huge that you just don't know. And continuing to grow that in the cities is so important because that's where a lot of the votes come from, one. But two, there's a lot of people that maybe just don't know. So continuing to educate and get involved on that level and going into those cities where there's a high population of maybe that are really disconnected from reality of what really goes outside, those are the people that you should be talking to, even if it is an uncomfortable conversation the first couple times. Stop hiding and pretending that it's not normal. It's normal to hunt. It's normal to have agriculture. It should not be normalized to never understand the process of where your food comes from. It should not be a normal process that kids don't know anything about conservation or science-based wildlife management. That's not normal. Let's change the culture in the everyday household where the weirdos are the ones that are not understanding these things or wanting the extreme version of, you know, the crazy pants stuff. So
She's so intellectual. Sean, you got a question or two for Jessica?
I think you covered most of it. I mean, I think the big one that you hit on was the really the deciding vote in Colorado within 18 to 45, 46. What if you can say one line to them, like what is your story that you tell them about conservation, North American model, like how it works outside of the hunting aspect of it? What do you tell them? What is the North American model and why is it important to them?
oh, that's such a good question.
She whispered to face. I had to really put my thinking cap on.
Yeah. The rest I was spitballing. What would be my answer to that? Sorry. I was doing so good.
Yeah.
Would be my message to 18 to 44-year-olds about conservation in general. Help me out here, Dan.
I'm not 27 years old anymore.
I know. I'm trying to think of like
If somebody walked up to you and said, "You keep talking about conservation and something about this North American model. What the hell are you talking about?"
the fact that conservation keeps a lot of these species alive, I think would be the home run. If you enjoy wildlife in any capacity, science-based wildlife management and conservation is what you should be rooting for. So that is my go-to. If
So why are you so steadfast on supporting the North American model of wildlife conservation? I mean, why is that the cornerstone?
the North American model has proven to bring species that were, on the borderline of endangerment into the ecosystem and flourish. The North American model has created an ecosystem that is continuously well managed and continuously thriving for years to come. Those are the big key points of the North American model. And that's why, even if you don't hunt, you don't fish, anything along those lines, you should be passionate about wanting to keep these animals here. And hunters are a huge reason why they are still here. So that is my biggest piece of this, is that women need to understand, men need to understand, kids need to understand that the conservation is for everybody. It's not just for hunters and fishers, and there is a place for it that is necessary in the Colorado, but also just in the ecosystem as a whole.
Did you? That's a good answer.
Thank you. Spitball.
Did you ever have an idea of the relationship or the importance between agriculture and conservation or hunting and fishing and how they were intertwined? I mean, obviously, you didn't know what agriculture was for the most part until you went to that school.
Absolutely.
And so what would you tell somebody on the front range that you just ran into at a Rockies game or some sort of social function when they talked about, but the cattlemen are doing this on wolves and nobody wants them to do this, and what would you try to explain to them about the correlation, the cross-pollination between agriculture and conservation?
I genuinely believe that agriculture is such a pinnacle part of Colorado, just in general. And the reason being is because those are the people that are feeding the people that aren't hunting. And so, yes, the wildlife portion, we want conservation because you want nature to continue to thrive. Well, if you want to continue eating in general, whether that be a cow or if that's an avocado, you better thank your local ranchers. That is the ultimate part of it, and there's nobody above agriculture. Like, agriculture is it, and this state has thrived off of agriculture for so many decades, and if for anybody to try to remove that is absolutely insane. We would just be bringing in agriculture from other states. And the ranchers are a huge part of this ecosystem as well. So because if there are things that are trying to kill how they are feeding America, then of course they need to take care of things. And that is also those deprivations that end up happening on those ranches are already accounted for during the conservation process. So those are already accounted for, and most of the time those ranchers end up harvesting those animals and feeding their families as well. So yeah, they might fill their tags a little bit different, but they're protecting something that is literally feeding the rest of Colorado.
I think that you have higher things on your list that you want to try to accomplish, and while you want to try to start a family, and while you want to turn around and actually go harvest a big game animal.
Yeah.
If you had an opportunity, well, first of all, let me ask you, this year, this is September of 2025.
Yeah.
This year, what are you pursuing for game?
This year, I am pursuing elk, bear. My bear tag's actually valid right now. I got an early rifle tag, so for bear. And then I am going on a dove hunt, actually this Saturday with some girls.
Oh, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, it's Friday. Yeah. Yeah.
So you better get ready.
Yeah. So yep, there's that. Going duck hunting a few times, some goose hunting, and of course lions. That's my stuff. I did not draw any mule deer tags, but I got deer in the freezer from that roadkill, so we're good.
Good. So you're stacked on that. Your bear tag is over around Gunnison.
Yes.
Yeah, but not where you thought it was.
No, I'm lame, and I was just fat fingering things on the secondary draw. The fourth selection on the secondary draw, I thought I put unit 54. I put 53. I was super excited I got awarded. Didn't even look at it until way later than I should have, and went, oh, okay, I better get over there and better learn that land, because I've hunted 54 a whole bunch.
So you know that.
Yeah, I know that.
So now you're getting into another area.
Yep, yeah, that's I mean, that's the glory of it, though. I mean, I like learning
When you
things.
going to do that?
I am actually going to, not this upcoming weekend, the following weekend I'll be gone for a few days
Cool.
up in there.
Cool. And you got somebody going with you?
Hopefully my fiance Joey will be going with me. But if he can't end up making it due to work, he's trying to get that time off, then I will be going alone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, if you need a hand with something,
Thank
I'm
you.
sure that there's plenty of people that would be willing to give you a hand, and Dave or John or
Oh,
Justin or myself.
absolutely. There's a good
Anybody.
plethora of contacts of
Yeah.
people that.
And we've got people over there we can put you in touch with too. So
exactly.
just to make sure you're not eating alive or
Thank
something.
you.
So
Yeah, I'm pretty good with that. Staying
Yeah.
alive so far, so.
so for any of the young ladies that'd be watching this, or any of the newbie men, what's your favorite method of take?
Oh, rifle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though I have harvested something with a bow, I will also tell the story of my first attempt with a bow with a turkey. I did not realize that those are the most resilient freaking birds out there. And even though I shot a clean shot, I did not pin the wings. It was still alive, and that was hard to experience. That's never the goal with a hunter and anybody ethical. Like it ended up dying, but that was like the worst moment of my life, and I cried. I cry almost every single time I kill anything. But yeah, then my latest turkey went down, and with one shot. It was the best feeling in the world. But that is with a year plus of constant training at an archery range, and just getting super focused and going, I can't mess around with this. My rifle, on the other hand, few months before the season, I'm going out and making sure that I can, hit the 100, 200, 300 yards, and get an ethical shot throughout it. So that's first and foremost. Do not try to go into archery. I learned that lesson right off the bat. It's not easy. So
What caliber rifle do you shoot?
308, or yeah, 308. Sorry.
308.
Yeah.
And ever have any aspirations to hunt with a pistol?
I do, actually. Yeah. My hands are quite small, so I have a few pistols. I have the Taurus Judge, and with the little shotgun shells and all that kind of stuff, and it just hurts after a while.
It hurts guys with big hands too.
But overall, I'm actually very comfortable. Thank the Lord. My fiance is a sheriff's deputy. I mean, he's ingrained a lot of really, really great habits for me. So pistol is probably one of my favorites, solely because of him. I hate that he's going to hear this, but he's one of the best shots I've ever met in my life. So, and his head's going to get ginormous. But yeah,
Most of the time the guys are griping and says my better half shoots better than I do, but that's not the case here.
No, it's not. He is such a good shot. So it's painful, because I'm like, I've been around firearms at least since a teenager. He actually didn't grow up with firearms. And when we met, he bought his first rifle, because he was like, oh, if I'm going to go hunting, I should probably learn how to shoot a rifle. I'm like, how do you just pick it up and just are good? You're not, no. So yeah, he is very good with firearms, and I hate him for it.
What do you want to hunt out of state sometime?
Oh, out of state, I don't know. I'd love to go to Alaska and get a moose. That sounds amazing, but I really don't have a ton of aspirations out of state. Oh, actually, back it up. My future honeymoon, that is actually something on my bucket list. We're trying to go on a gator hunt.
That's where I was going to say. I wanted you to say that.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It's not, we haven't booked anything at all yet, but we're planning on going down to Florida, and we would love to get a gator down there for our honeymoon. And
Really?
yeah, it sounds fun. But yeah, other than those two big ticket items, I think staying in Colorado is it's a fun place, and we can just drive, from my suburban neighborhood to the mountains and go hunting. So
Good for you. You like scouting?
I do, yes. I didn't realize how big that was until my first failed year, and yeah, that's kind of a big deal. So
Know where you're going, know what to do, how to get into places.
exactly.
There's stuff where stuff is, where the private property is.
Yeah, I was one of these super annoying people that would go, only a mile in and think I wouldn't see anybody. And everybody and their mom was there. I was like, no, this
You had to
sucks.
go farther.
Yeah, I had to go further than I ever would have imagined. And I was so uncomfortable my first year, like just going, oh my gosh, I've never been here. I never even thought about going here. I don't know what anything is. And but yeah, now scouting is a huge part of my summer. And now that I picked up fly fishing this last year, it's been way more fun. So finding all those little crevices of heaven in the Colorado mountains has been a dream.
Trying to wrap things up, do you have anything that you would like to convey to the listening or viewing audience on you just being a girl?
Me just being a girl. If you're just a girl and you want to get into hunting, there's so many ways. Do not let anything stop you. If you're just a boy and I don't know as well, please do not let anything stop you. It's such a wonderful community of people. There's such a great like just everything about your being will change when you get out there and really truly understand. It's a passion that a lot of people have for a reason. And if you already have that passion and drive, please do not get idle in the fights that are continuing to happen. You might not know how many fights that are happening in the state of Colorado, but that's because you're not getting involved. You're not being active. Please be active. Please start getting educated on the political side as well, because the state is worth preserving.
You're a badass yourself, you know that? You keep talking about the other girls, but you're just a bad.
Well, thank you.
Well, you got any closing thoughts you want to invoke in this conversation?
If I'm just a girl and I can do it, then you should be able to do it too. That's it. That's all I got.
Well, Jess, we appreciate you taking the time and
Thank you.
coming up here, and appreciate the friendship that we've sparked
Yes.
and the interaction that we've been able to have, because you're just a blessing to be around,
Thank
and to see the enthusiasm and the optimism that you bring with the other gals, and just the inner working relationships of this. I think Sean would concur. This is one of our most enlightening guests. We've had fabulous guests for the first 55 issues or whatever, the episodes, but you're inspiring in a sense to where we're not just talking about the doom and gloom. We're talking about how to promote and how to engage and how to reflect. And I think that that's part of why we continually do what we do. So I just appreciate everything you've done. Appreciate the friendship. Look forward to continuing that as well.
Yes, I'm so happy we met. I'm so happy that I'm here, and thank you so much for everything that you do for the state, and also thanks for bringing all these wonderful people into my life as well. I mean, these people wouldn't be here without your efforts either. So, thank you.
I appreciate it. We're gonna have you on again.
Sounds good. I like it.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Through the Gates. For more content like this, make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe on all of our channels.